What if the most lethal predator on Earth has been looking at you this whole time and choosing not to strike? There is a creature in our oceans capable of flipping great white sharks like toys, hunting and killing full-grown blue whales, and documented cases of it ramming and sinking vessels off the coast of Europe. It is faster, smarter, and more coordinated than anything else, swimming in the deep. By every measure of nature, it is the perfect killing machine. And yet, in all of recorded human history, not a single person has ever been killed by one in the wild. Not one. Think about that. We swim in their waters. We drift in small boats above them. We are slow, fragile, and completely defenseless in the ocean. We should be the easiest prey imaginable. So why are we still here? The answer to that question will completely reshape everything you think you know about the sea. If that question hit you the way it hit me, hit that like button right now, because what comes next goes even deeper. Through science, emotion, culture, and one of the most disturbing cases ever recorded in the ocean. Subscribe so you don't miss a single second of this. Let's get something straight right away. The name killer whale is one of the greatest misunderstandings in the history of ocean exploration. It didn't come from scientists, it came from Basque whalers centuries ago who watched these animals hunt and dismantle massive whales in the open sea. They called them whale killers, and somewhere along the way, the words got flipped, the name stuck. But the identity behind it, completely wrong. Because an orca is not a whale, not even close. It is, in fact, the largest member of the dolphin family. A cetacean built not for slow, filter-feeding ocean drifting, but for precision, speed, and coordinated attack. Calling it a whale is like calling a wolf a sheep because they both have 4 legs. The classification matters because it changes everything about how we understand what this animal actually is. And what it is terrifying in the most extraordinary way. A fully grown orca stretches up to 10 meters in length and can weigh 10 tons. That's the weight of a loaded school bus moving through water at 56 kilometers per hour. Its teeth aren't just sharp, they interlock like a trap, designed to grip and tear without release. And then there's its coloring. That iconic black and white pattern isn't just striking, it's a sophisticated optical camouflage system, breaking up its silhouette in the water and confusing prey until it's already too late. Every single feature of this animal was shaped by millions of years of evolution into one singular purpose: dominance. There is no ecosystem in the ocean where the orca does not sit at the very top of the food chain. No great white shark, no sperm whale, nothing. So when you understand just how perfect this predator truly is, the real question becomes almost unbearable. Let's talk about what this animal actually does in the wild, because nothing prepares you for it. Off the coast of South Africa, researchers have documented orcas hunting great white sharks with a level of precision that feels almost surgical. They approach from below, flip the shark upside down, triggering a state of paralysis called tonic immobility, and then, with terrifying accuracy, they open the shark's abdomen and extract the liver, just the liver, rich in oil, dense in calories. They leave the rest. This isn't random predation. This is calculated, intentional, and practiced. And if that isn't enough, orcas have been filmed coordinating attacks on blue whales, the largest animal ever to exist on this planet. A creature that can reach 30 meters and weigh 200 tons, and orcas hunt them in packs, exhausting them over hours, peeling them apart piece by piece until the ocean itself turns red. No predator on Earth attempts that, none except them. But the hunting intelligence doesn't stop in open water. In Patagonia, Argentina, orcapods intentionally beach themselves to snatch sea lions off the shore, then teach their young how to do the same. In the Arctic, they create coordinated waves with their tails to wash seals off floating ice. And in Alaska, fishing boats discovered that orcapods had learned to recognize the specific sound of hydraulic reels showing up only when fish were being pulled in, stealing the catch before it ever reached the surface. These aren't instincts, these are strategies, passed down through generations, adapted to environments, refined over time. This is an animal that thinks, plans, and teaches. So when you realize that we slow, fragile, completely exposed in the water have never once been on their menu. Now here's where everything shifts, because what makes the orca truly unlike anything else in the ocean isn't just its size or its speed or its hunting precision, it's what's happening inside its skull. An orca's brain is roughly 4 times the size of a human brain. But more importantly, deep within that brain are spindle neurons, the same specialized cells that in humans are directly linked to empathy, self-awareness, and grief. These aren't the neurons of a simple predator running on instinct. These are the neurons of something that feels, and that feeling is organized into something even more remarkable: culture. Different orca populations sharing the same ocean don't mix. They don't interbreed. They don't share feeding techniques. They develop their own dialects, their own hunting strategies, their own social rules, and they pass all of it down through generations. Mother to calf, like a living library of inherited knowledge. Scientists have identified distinct orca cultures as different from one another, as human civilizations separated by thousands of miles. At the center of each pod sits the matriarch. One of the most documented was J2, known as Granny, estimated to be over 100 years old when she disappeared. Research shows that pods led by older females survive better, hunt more successfully, and lose fewer members. This is the grandmother hypothesis, the idea that wisdom, not just strength, is what keeps a family alive in the ocean. And then there is Telequa. In 2018, an orca designated J35 gave birth to a calf that died within hours. For 17 days and over 1,600 kilometers, she carried her dead baby on her head through the Pacific Ocean. The scientific community fell silent, because there is only one word for what that was, and that word is grief. So if this animal grieves, loves, teaches, and remembers, so here's the answer you've been waiting for, and it's more fascinating than anything you could have imagined. Orcas used echolocation, not just to navigate, but to see inside things. Their sonar is so precise it can read the internal structure of a body in the water, bone density, fat layers, organ placement, and when an orca scans a human, what it detects is nothing like a seal. Our fat layer is thin, our skeleton reads differently, our body composition sends back a completely unfamiliar signal. To an orca, we don't register as food. We never did. There is exactly one documented case of an orca biting a human in the wild. 1. In 1972, a surfer in California named Hans Kretschmer was bitten on the leg. The orca released him within seconds. No follow-up, no second strike. Just an immediate release the moment the animal realized its mistake, and this is a jaw capable of crushing whalebone. It didn't hesitate to let go. That single moment in over a century of recorded ocean exploration is the entire list. Now contrast that with what's been happening off the Iberian Peninsula since 2020. Over 670 documented incidents of orcas ramming and disabling sailing boats, rudders destroyed, vessels sunk, crews thrown into the open water, humans floating in the ocean, vulnerable, disoriented, surrounded. And in every single one of those incidents, not one person was touched, not one. The orcas went after the boats with precision and completely ignored the people in the water. That's not an accident. That's not coincidence. That is a pattern so consistent, so deliberate, that it stops being biology and starts becoming something that demands a much harder question. If they chose not to hunt us, does that mean, on some level, they made a choice? And if they're capable of making that choice, we've just established that in the wild, orcas don't hurt us. That the choice not to hunt humans appears to be deliberate, consistent, and cross-cultural across every orca population on the planet. But there's another side to this story, a darker one, and it begins the moment humans decided that an animal, this intelligent, this emotionally complex, this deeply tied to family and culture, could be turned into a theme park attraction. What happens when we break that unspoken agreement? Tilikum happened. Imagine taking a 2-year-old orca from the North Atlantic and placing him inside a concrete tank. His echolocation, that extraordinary biological sonar, bouncing off walls and returning nothing but distorted noise. Over and over, with no horizon, no depth, no meaning. Then force him to share that space with orcas from completely incompatible cultures, animals who speak different dialects, follow different rules, and respond with aggression. For up to 14 hours each night, Tilikum was isolated in a metal module, barely large enough to contain his body. Nights, alone, in darkness. For years. The psychological deterioration was inevitable. Orcas in captivity develop behaviors that don't exist in the wild. Repetitive circling, self-mutilation collapsed, dorsal fins from the unnatural pressure of tank life. Their lifespans dropped from 60 to 90 years to barely 20. These aren't animals adapting, these are minds breaking, and Tilikum's mind broke completely. He was involved in the deaths of 3 people, culminating in February 2010, when he pulled his trainer Dawn Broncho underwater in front of a live audience and killed her. But here's what the headlines never said loudly enough. Telecom was not a predator acting on instinct. He was a deeply traumatized being acting out of psychological collapse, manufactured entirely by human decisions. Every single thing that made him dangerous was put there by us. And that truth is far more disturbing than any monster story. What Telecom's story revealed about captivity is horrifying enough. But here's the thing, the damage we're doing to Orcas didn't stay inside those concrete tanks. It followed them into the open ocean. Right now, in the wild, every commercial shipping route is a wall of noise. The constant low-frequency rumble of cargo vessels floods the same acoustic frequencies that orcas use to communicate, hunt, and navigate. Their echolocation, that extraordinary biological superpower, is being drowned out in real time. Imagine trying to see in a world where someone is permanently shining a blinding light directly into your eyes. That is what our ocean sounds like to them now. And the noise is only the beginning. PCBs, industrial chemicals banned decades ago but still circulating through the marine food chain, accumulate in orca tissue at some of the highest concentrations ever recorded in any mammal. Female orcas are absorbing these toxins and passing them directly into their calves through their milk. The result is a silent catastrophe, rising miscarriage rates, collapsed immune systems, and populations that are simply failing to reproduce. In the Pacific Northwest, the southern resident orca population has been pushed to the edge of extinction, not by predators, but by the disappearance of Chinook salmon, their primary food source, devastated by dam construction and overfishing. Millennia of cultural tradition disrupted in decades. The indigenous peoples of the Pacific Northwest understood something long before Western science caught up. For thousands of years, nations like the Lummi and the Coast Salish have called orcas their relatives beneath the waves, not metaphorically, but as a genuine recognition of kinship, intelligence, and shared belonging to the same world. And that brings us to the inversion that changes everything. We spent this entire video asking why the apex predator of the ocean spares us, but maybe that was always the wrong question. The real question, the one that should keep us up at night, is how an animal with the power to destroy us chooses, consistently and consciously, to honor a peace while we poison the very ocean we share with them. The next time you look at the ocean, you'll know what's underneath. Not just water, not just wildlife, but families that grieve, cultures passed down through generations, minds that chose consciously and consistently to share this world with us in peace. That is not a small thing, that is extraordinary, and it asks something of us in return. Protecting orcas isn't just an environmental cause. It's a lesson the ocean itself is teaching us about respect, restraint, and what it means to coexist with something more powerful than yourself. The apex predator of the sea made a choice. The question is whether we're capable of making ours. If this video made you feel something, if you made it all the way here, subscribe to this channel, because there is so much more hidden beneath the surface of the natural world waiting for you. Comment, "I choose respect," if this story moved you. Leave a like, it means more than you know. And the next video is already on your screen. Don't stop now.